What's up, people?
What's up, guys?
Welcome to the Music Maniacs podcast with Side After Dark, your new favorite band.
Favorite.
I'm Dan Berg.
I'm Sifa Graffiti.
And today we're doing a special topic. And I'm just going to get right into it and say that we're doing Mariah Carey. And I'm going to say, if you were to tell me a year ago when we started this podcast that we'd be doing an episode on Mariah Carey, not only that, but that I'd be super excited to do it, I would say, wow, you must not know me as well as I thought you did. But here we are, and I'm super excited to do this. We're talking about one of the greatest artists that's ever lived.
Of all time and still living.
So I just want to, for real quick for the intro, like if you were to sum up your thoughts of Mariah real quick in a few words, what would you say?
Songbird supreme.
And if you want to find out why we think that, then stick around. So Mariah was born out on Long Island.
New York.
What was it, 75?
70.
70?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Close enough. And she had a bit of a troubled childhood.
Yeah, pretty troubled.
So she's mixed and...
With what?
Cake
part and bird. Sugar.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say she's part bird and part human.
Yeah.
But so she had a mom who was a white opera singer.
Yes.
And first of all...
Patricia.
Yeah. When I read that her mom was an opera singer, I was like, that's probably the least surprising thing I've ever read. I'm like, yep, that kind of checks out, right?
You don't say.
And then her dad was a black aerospace engineer.
Check that out.
Right? And so this is the 70s out on Long Island, which is pretty conservative, right? I've never spent much time out there.
Yeah, pretty conservative. They were living in Brooklyn Heights before, which was kind of like more of a beatnik kind of a neighborhood. If there was a place for a black guy and a white lady to be together in the 70s, 1970, because it was basically the 60s. Then Brooklyn Heights would have been the place. But no. They had to upgrade. They had to move out on the island for the kids and their safety.
Yeah. And their community was not a super huge fan of them.
No.
And yeah, there's a few reasons. Obviously, because it's a mixed marriage. And I don't know what Mariah's mom looks like. But based on how light-skinned Mariah is and the fact that her mom is Irish, she must be like the whitest of the whites.
She's very fair. Yeah, very fair skin. Average Irish girl from New York. Yeah.
Yeah, she might be standing in front of this wall right now. You don't even know.
No, she's a little bit peach in color.
And then also, I mean, regardless of race, I feel like a lot of people don't typically like people that are smarter than them.
Yeah.
And her dad was a fucking aerospace engineer.
Yeah, he got to come in here with his brains and his blackness.
Yeah, so the community did not welcome them with open arms.
No, not at all. And it was very challenging for Mariah because for the most part, her mom used to drop her to school all the time. So nobody really saw her dad. So she had many moments where people were horrified, to say the least, that her father was black. She said that one time she was drawing, she was like 4 and she was already like
with the crayon?
Sensitive. Yeah. And like she drew her family and she drew her dad with the brown crayon, and one of the teachers was like, started laughing, came over and was like, you used the wrong crayon. And she was just like, why are you laughing? She was like, no, I didn't. And then she was like, other assistant teachers came over, because these were the student teachers, not the main teachers. So these guys were probably like, anywhere from 18 to like 23 years old. So definitely still kind of kid-minded. So the other teachers came over and they were like, she doesn't even know she used the wrong crayon. Like they're like laughing. And she's like, Mariah's like, what?
She's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. And then all the kids stopped working, and like it was just like a very like defining moment for her, negatively. So that's got to be like so sad. And out of her siblings, Mariah was the lightest. Like she was the one that could like pass for white. Like all her other 2 siblings looked mixed. Like so that was hard for her.
Yeah, so there was that. They also, they poisoned their fucking dog or some shit. They burned their car. They really gave them a rough time in that neighborhood.
Yeah, you would have thought it was Boston. No, I'm just kidding. Shout out to Boston.
So, I mean, I'm sure that, definitely exacerbated the problems in the relationship.
Yes, it definitely did.
But they divorced when Mariah was like 3 or 4.
Right.
Like really young.
Yeah.
And after that, then they were bouncing around kind of like all over the place, right?
Mariah said she moved 13 times.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. As a child, like before, I mean, think about it. She got signed. She started working as an artist at like 17. So from 3 to 17, she moved 13 times.
So wow. Yeah, that's a lot of times.
Yeah, average about like what, a year and a half?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I'm terrible at math. I was gonna say she moved at least once a year.
Yeah,
but I'm like, I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, at least once a year, and like that's crazy. I mean, her mom was like a beatnik type of person, so she would stay with pretty much anybody, So Mariah had a colorful slew of characters coming in and out of her life. Her mom had different boyfriends as well, and like that had to be that's some songwriting shit.
Yeah, there was definitely a lack of stability for a large part of her life, like her early life. And she kind of took that, the emotions and the pain that she was feeling and channeled it into music.
Yeah. She definitely had a gift from before she even pretty much was born, because she knew how to like have an ear for her mom's music. Her mom was like singing one time and Mariah corrected her. In
Italian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I heard that same story. I was just like, wait, she was 3 and she was like, no, Mom, you said the wrong Italian word.
Yeah.
Imagine being her mom, like, what?
Yeah.
Who do you think you are?
Exactly. Exactly.
But apparently her mom like never like pushed her to like get into music or anything. Like
no,
music was just around, and Mariah was naturally drawn to it.
Yeah, singing around the house with her mom, and even with her dad, who she saw every Sunday. After that, they would take like road trips and stuff. And even he didn't like music. He didn't understand. He was a Captain Von Trapp, if you will. he was in the military, and he couldn't understand musicianship as a career choice.
Right.
But they would be driving and singing songs that sounded like 99 bottles of beer. They would have great times and stuff like that.
Yeah, so she was already as like, I think when she was like 12, she was already doing like background vocals for like people that her mom knew and like stuff like that. So she was already like been in recording studios from like a super young age.
Yeah, for jingles, for commercials, for like young bands that were coming up. She would do singing background vocals with them too. Yeah. And then she wanted to start getting into songwriting too with them, and they were like, "What, are you kidding me? Just sing the vocals, toots."
She's like, "No, I'm gonna do what I want." And next thing you know, now she's only like 15, and like she's like demo singer. She's singing demos for people. She's doing all this shit, and she was spending so much time working on music things that she was barely even in school. Right. And her classmates gave her a nickname.
Yes, it was a nickname,
which I think is a dope ass nickname.
That's very young high school, right? Like that witty humor. Like I loved it.
Yeah, they called her Mirage because they never saw her, and that's hilarious. Yeah, I was like, damn, like I would like that nickname.
Yeah,
I'd
me
be
too.
Like, yeah, I'm the Mirage. Mariah the Mirage. That's me.
I'm sure she found it funny, and like that really, she excelled at only one subject, which was creative writing. Mm-hmm. Surprise.
Yes, nobody would have seen that coming based on just the title of this episode and the subject.
Which I don't know how you couldn't excel at math, Mariah. You have millions of fans and dozens of awards. How?
How did you not get into engineering? That's really the question. You should have been an aerospace engineer, okay? But so she did graduate, even though she was never there. So she graduated high school. It was like, I'm going to Manhattan. I know what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get into music. Yeah. So her brother was a personal trainer. Right. Who already had like he wasn't super connected with like the music industry necessarily, but he knew a lot of people just, from training people.
Yeah. And you got to think around like, let's say like the 80s, the personal training boom didn't really happen like that yet, where everybody's got a trainer. So it was kind of like an exclusive thing, I'm thinking. Like, you know what I mean?
Interesting. I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah. Because now your average Joe has a trainer, but like a personal trainer for the celebrities, if you're really good, many people are definitely going to use you, so you're definitely going to know a lot of people.
Right. That makes sense. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, back in the day, it's like if you had a personal trainer, like, oh, yeah, look at you. So Mariah went and moved to the Upper West Side. Yep. Where apparently she was living in a 1-bedroom with like 3 other girls. Yeah. And I'm like, that sounds about right. Yeah. And she was meeting people through her brother, who introduced her to, I can't remember what his name was, but he was a songwriter.
Yeah, I think it's Valentine is his last name.
Something like that. Y'all tell us in the comments what we screwed up. Thanks.
I see his face right now. He had brown, short hair.
Yeah.
Shortish, longish.
But they got introduced and they started writing songs together.
Yeah.
Because again, Mariah was just a songbird.
Uh-huh.
And she already had that. And then he came in and met her and was like, oh shit, she's really good. Mm-hmm. And then they just started working on songs together. And they started working on like some demos for her.
Right.
Stuff like that. Which is really funny. I'll bring up something about the demo later, but it was clearly like, they were working on the production, the songwriting themselves. Mariah was always very involved with the production of it, and with the songwriting, and then obviously the singing. And she has an amazing voice. Mm-hmm. Y'all, you didn't need us to say that, but her voice is crazy. Like,
yeah.
We'll definitely talk about that more. But
undeniably beautiful voice.
Who was the singer? I can't remember now. I feel dumb. Who the songwriting partner introduced her to, who brought her to the party?
That's Brenda K. Starr. And she did have, I remember hearing that song on the radio as like a baby, the one that Mariah did over, I Still Believe. So I feel like I was like a tiny tot experiencing Mariah while I was not experiencing Mariah.
The Mariah experience.
But yeah, Brenda K. Starr was a hot like pop star, kind of freestyle music, ballad, stuff like that, that would play on the radio. That's kind of right up Mariah's alley. I could see her totally being a backup singer to that particular artist.
Yeah. Funny story about that. So she came in to sing some backups for her.
Yeah.
And, Mariah did her thing. And Brenda was like, you trying to take my job? What is this?
And then she punches Mariah in the gut.
Yeah, and then she walked away. No, she walked back. She walked away, and then she walked back and said, okay, I'm keeping you with me.
Yeah, she said, on the second thought, I don't want to beat you up. Which is like a testament to like really cool, like sisterhood, brotherhood, family in the music industry.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not every day that you find an artist that's like hearing another song or another singer and is like, wow, she's amazing, I gotta introduce her to so and so. Usually it's like, I gotta get rid of this girl fast. Like,
I was gonna say, it could be, and this is something I'll talk about more a little later, it could have been super easy for her to just be very jealous of Mariah.
Yep.
Because if you are a jealous person, honestly, Mariah would be an easy person to hate on.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's no reason that she should be that beautiful and that talented all in the same body.
It's just unfair.
Like, Mariah is a example of life being unfair. She has all that talent and all of that just in one package. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, she would be an easy person to hate on if you were prone to jealousy.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
Brenda was not that person.
No.
She was like, I like you. I want to stick around you.
Yeah.
So she takes her around and she brings her to some industry events, some industry parties.
Yep. The big suits are there. They're cigaring. They're Brandy Alexandering.
They're scotching.
Yeah. They're doing it all.
And there was one executive at one of these parties.
Yeah.
By the name of Tommy Mottola.
Yeah. She Brenda tries to talk to kind of three guys that are standing together.
Yeah.
And Tommy, tough guy Tommy, we'll call
She
him.
goes to hand the tape, right, to somebody else.
Yeah.
And Tommy's like, that's mine.
Exactly.
And so apparently Tommy had the tape. He was the president of Sony.
Yeah.
And he had just gotten promoted, I believe, to be the president of Sony.
Yeah. Which is, congratulations, Tommy. You were a young guy doing all of that. Yeah.
So he has the tape. And on the way out of the party, he's listening to the tape. And he says to his driver, holy shit, turn around. We got to go back.
Oh, yep.
This girl is insane.
Yeah.
So he goes back and Mariah was already gone.
He found her slipper. He found her glass
and
slipper.
then he was running all around Manhattan. Where is the magic slipper? Somebody bring me to the magic slipper. All the way from Washington Heights to the Battery Park. He was looking for the magic slipper. And eventually he found it. Mm-hmm. And he made an offer to sign Mariah.
Yes.
At the same time, there were some other people offering to sign Mariah.
She had another deal on the table.
So what do? You start a bidding war.
That's what you do.
And again, Mariah's only like 18, 19 at this point.
Yep.
And it's just like, whoa, you're offering me like whatever, like $350,000 for a contract? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Is this really happening?
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. So Tommy won the bidding war.
Yeah.
He outbid the other person by like 50,000 or something.
Yes. Yeah. I think it was 350.
Right. And then, so she signs with him at Sony.
Yeah.
And immediately he's very, So I was watching a documentary, and like, I don't know if they meant this as a joke, but they were like, yeah, Tommy was immediately like very hands-on. And I was just like, did you mean to say that? I don't know if you really did, but he was very involved with like the beginning of like her career and like her album, as far as like the production of it, like what he wanted the song to sound like. He was kind of controlling about the sound in the albums.
Yeah, he was protecting his investment on Overdrive. Like,
yes.
You know?
And again, Mariah was the first artist that he signed as the president of the label.
Yeah.
So not only was he like, obviously I want to recoup my investment, but he was like, I still have shit to prove.
Definitely.
You know, he wasn't like, you know, big time guy. I mean, obviously he was big time because he was at the top, but it's like, I'm brand new to this. Like, I still got to prove to everybody around that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, and kudos to him. Well, it's obvious why he became the president and CEO, because the way he helped do those songs, even though Mariah says that her versions she felt are better than what ended up coming out to the public, those songs are amazingly done.
Yeah.
Yeah, she found them to be overproduced.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's how you know Mariah's a real one, because she was talking about that. She was like, yeah, honestly, I thought my demo was better than some of this shit on the album, but, you know, it's in the past.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Let her know how you really feel.
Yeah. He even controlled, like, the videos and stuff, too, which I definitely have to say. Vision of Love, even as a child, I remember loving the song, like, absolutely loving it. But thinking this video is so boring. Like, I would turn the channel, because the song was on the radio all the time, so you couldn't miss it.
Yeah.
But when the video came on, it was just like, let's see what else is on. Like,
oh, damn. Sorry, Mariah.
No.
Sorry, Tommy.
Mariah knows. She was like in a turtleneck, basically.
Yeah. I mean, Tommy was like, you don't show any fucking skin.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Because were they like involved romantically yet at this point? I don't know what the timeline of that is.
Not yet. I mean, you know, when you like somebody, especially if you're an older guy, you're like 20 years older than a girl, if you like them, you're already setting the wheels kind of in motion. So I kind of want to say he was kind of courting her anyway, like grooming her to be his girlfriend in a way where it's like, I just got to get her in a certain mindset. So when I finally get my mitts on her, she knows what to do.
Yeah, and he was like recently divorced and shit. So he was out there. But I want to talk for a second just about how amazing her fucking voice is.
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy. Like, there's a lot of talented singers out there in the world, obviously. There's very few people that I've listened to and consistently have been like, how is this even possible?
Yeah.
Like, how are we the same species? Like, this is crazy.
She's not. She's an ethereal creature, and that's just what
she's part dolphin.
Yeah. I mean, bird and dolphin, that's what she's mixed with.
She's half bird, half dolphin.
There you go.
All amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, she some pages say 5-octave range, some pages say 7. I'm going to go with 7 just for New York.
I'm going to go with 8. How about that? Prove me wrong.
And like her whisper singing, she said she got that from being in such a tumultuous environment. It was very violent at times in the house. It would be her father against her brother and a lot of arguing between her parents. So she learned to whisper, like, you know, and just keep kind of quiet. She was the baby. Like, her siblings were in double digits and she was just like, you know, like 7, 8 already. So she learned how to do kind of like a whisper type of singing, and that would like pacify her as well. And she also said that she found out in a way that she could sing after she knew she could sing from one of her friends. They were walking home together, and her friend was like, when you sing, it's like a whole bunch of instruments are playing with you. And she was like, wow. Then she knew she had something.
It's funny you say that, because the thing that always stood out to me, even before I like really got into like who Mariah was, because I gotta say, like, who I thought Mariah was before and who she actually is like so fucking different that it's almost kind of embarrassing for me, to be honest.
Oh, you had her in like a Julie Andrews kind of category?
I just had her like, no, I'll be real. Like, so this is the thing. Like, I mean, I was a freshman in high school in 2009.
Okay.
So it's like, by the time I was an adult or like caring about music, Mariah Carey had been so big for so long that it was almost like corny to me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If somebody was like, oh yeah, like I'm going to go home and listen to Mariah, it's like, oh what? Let me guess, you like the Beatles too? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not, I never didn't like her.
Yeah.
But I just didn't really understand like who she was. Like, I just saw her as like, you know, there were so many like really big pop singers that are basically just like the front person of this whole group of people in the label that are writing the songs, that are producing, and she's basically like the face of it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I thought Mariah was, and I could not have been more wrong.
Yeah, it's hard to not be a fan after a while. Like for me, Mariah, like we've reacted to some of her songs and stuff, and I'll see certain album covers, and I'll literally ask like, "Oh, what era is this?" And when I was doing my research last night, it's like I know more than 5 songs from every single album, like word for word, you know. And I haven't bought one album. Sorry, Mariah. Sorry. I haven't bought one album, but I am a fan. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you brought up the reaction. So this is what really spurred my whole change in Mariah's, because check out Slide After Dark YouTube. We do reactions, and we were doing reactions to Mariah. And I remember the first time it came up, I was like, all right, like we'll do Mariah, like whatever. I wasn't super like excited about it, but then I remember listening to it. I'm just like, oh my god. Like, this is amazing. And it sounds like this track was just made, like, exactly for her. Like, her voice sounds so good on it. Yeah. And then what really blew me away was the comment section. Because people were telling me in the comments, well, you know why it sounds like that? Because she produced it. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, wait, what? She produced it too? And they're like, oh, and she wrote it. I'm like, oh, my God. Well, this is fucking amazing. Yeah. And then the other thing that blew me away in the comments is, like, we do a lot of reaction videos. And a lot of the comments would be like, oh, like, I remember where I was when I first heard this song, or, this song reminds me of this, or blah, 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 blah. But the comments on the Mariah videos were like, Mariah is my queen, Mariah is the greatest artist ever, Mariah is this, Mariah is that. Like, the amount of love that she got, I was like, whoa, I must be really missing out on something here. Like, it was intense. I was like, this is blowing me away. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm like, I must have misunderstood what Mariah was. And that's kind of what led me into, doing more research and listening to more Mariah, and then to doing this right now. Yeah. Because, again, like, what I thought she was versus what she actually is could not have been more wrong. And as a person that tries to make myself seem like someone that knows a lot about music, I feel kind of embarrassed about it now.
Oh, man.
But it is what it is. I'm fine to be embarrassed if it's for Mariah.
Yeah, if some good came out of it.
Yeah. So I had to say that. So, yeah, the first album comes out, and it does super well.
Oh, yeah.
And she gets working on a second album, and again, Tommy's still really like controlling.
I know
the sound and all of it.
Yeah, because she's winning awards already, and he's still like, no, I still got to control this. You're not good enough.
Yeah, and around this time, they start getting romantically involved. Yeah. And that's another reason, like I said earlier, like I could see how some people it's easy to hate on her. I could see how some people, if they didn't understand the talent, would just be like, oh, look at her, just trying to sleep her way to the top, blah, 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 blah. Yeah,
they were like, she's found a new exec and he's going to bankroll her, like, princess lifestyle.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, it doesn't matter who you're hooking up with. If you don't have the talent, the people are not going to fuck with you.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter who's pushing you. If you don't have the stuff, you're not going to sell.
Yeah. She got a lot of criticism. Some people were saying, like, well, is she really talented, or does she just know how to sing well?
Interesting.
Is she a technician or a singer?
Well, the other thing is that she wasn't really like touring at this time because she had like a lot of stage fright, and just the vocal prowess of these fucking songs is crazy. And she was like, if I'm doing a performance, like I gotta like not talk for days, I gotta completely rest my voice, blah blah blah. So she wasn't really doing a lot of shows. So people were trying to be like, oh, is she just like a studio singer? Could she not really do this? Blah 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 blah. Because after the first 2 albums, she's huge. She's at #1 singles. She's winning awards. All this stuff. Yeah. So what she does is she goes on MTV Unplugged. Yes. Which it kind of sucks that kind of thing doesn't really exist anymore.
That was the most awesome thing, MTV Unplugged. I mean, they made albums out of those after a while. Like Nirvana had one, Jodeci had one, Mary J. Blige as well. Eric Clapton just...
Who? I've never heard of him. Can you tell me about him?
He's a new singer. He was relatively a new singer at that time. Harmonica? I believe so. Okay. Yeah. And the banjo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And Eric Clapton debuted his soft unplugged version of Layla, which is like that was the first time I had heard Layla. So I didn't even know it as the rock and roll version, but you got to see a lot of great things on MTV Unplugged.
Well, even Mariah released the EP was released from that show. I guess that was Tommy's decision. I don't fucking know. But yeah, they released that also because that was proving they were like, no, she can really do this.
Yeah.
This is not like just a studio thing. Like, look at this.
Yeah. And just to show how great she is, it's like a day before that Unplugged performance, they were like, well, we want you to do a cover song. And she was just like, she didn't know what to do. And then she just decided to do I'll Be There by the Jackson 5. So she prepped that like a day and a half before. And that's like such a beautiful version. It's unreal.
Absolutely. And so around this time, they get married, right? Tommy and Mariah get married at some huge, extravagant ceremony upstate, right?
Barbra Streisand was there.
De Niro was there.
De Niro was an usher at the wedding.
Wild. And she's, how old is she? She's like 23, 25 then?
Yeah, 23, and he was like 43 or something.
Yeah, like exactly 20 years older, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's so crazy. Imagine being Mariah. You come from this tumultuous childhood, and you're just bouncing around all over the place. And the next thing you know, you move to the city, and then a few years later, you're selling you're number one artist. Like, you're getting married to this super rich dude. Like, your whole lifestyle is just completely different.
Yeah.
That's a lot to handle.
It is a lot. And she does mention it. She says that when she debuted on the Arsenio Hall show, because they put her out on that show. She was so happy, and that was a huge show at the time.
Yeah.
And she said she was literally singing on stage, and she was like, I was just like sitting in my apartment wondering when I would make it, like just last year.
You know what? I have faith. I think she'll go far. I think she might make it one day.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so they get married, but at the same time, basically every album from this point, she's wrestling back a little bit of control in the music. And the thing about Tommy is that he kind of likes control.
Yeah, Tommy didn't even want the wedding pictures as a cover story. After that huge, extravagant wedding, he's like pissed that they want to put a cover story.
You can't have it both ways, guy.
Yeah, I literally remember the paper. Like, I don't know if it was the Daily News or whatever, but it was on the cover. Like, I remember that.
It was definitely on the New York Post, right? At least one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she, again, she is super creative. She's writing this stuff. She can produce all of it. And even, isn't there like kind of controversy about her not getting some production credits that she should have gotten on the first couple albums?
Definitely on those. And then after she put her foot down. But yeah, they were just like, they were actually using her advice, but not giving her the credit. Because, I mean, then they'd have to pay her more,
And who wants that?
Who wants that? But she owns all her shit now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So she's trying to wrestle back a little more control slowly, and Tommy doesn't really like that.
No.
And I think they were married for 3 years. Like
the papers say not to 5 years. Like,
okay.
I don't remember it being that long. I felt like they got married, then they got divorced, but I was a kid. Like,
yeah. So then she ended up in kind of a weird position because she was still signed to the label of her ex-husband.
Yeah.
That's not a great place to be for anyone.
Yeah. You go to
any
work.
workplace to be still having to work with your ex.
Not
That's
at all.
not good. So she was in a weird situation, right? And she's taking back more control of her records, and she's really expanding what she's doing at the same time.
Yeah.
And Tommy wasn't happy about that.
Not at all.
Because now she's so in skin, she's being who she wants to be, and he's just like, oh, how dare she, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. She listened to a lot of like hip hop and R&B growing up. Just being from New York, that's just what you do. And she wanted to add some like hip hop flavor to her repertoire.
Yeah. It's funny, I was just watching an interview with her where she was saying, like, I didn't do that because I thought it was going to sell well. I did that because that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And people weren't doing that at the time.
Yeah.
It was very, like, it was like, you had rock, you had pop, you had R&B. It was, like, very separate. Like, the lines weren't blurred that much.
Right.
But she was like, this is the music that I want to make. And even, like, the label was like, are you sure you want to do that? Like, I don't know if that's going to do well or whatever. But it clearly did very well. It has been super influential for a lot of people that have come afterwards.
Yeah. Tommy was definitely wrong about that. Like, she says that Mariah remembers when they were like sitting around and somebody asked her what did she think about Diddy, and Tommy's like, Diddy will be shining my shoes in 2 years.
Did he really say that?
Yeah, he didn't. Well, his name wasn't Diddy then, but yeah, he said that.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
I think he was wrong on that one.
Just a little
Possibly,
bit wrong.
maybe a little bit wrong. Yeah, so she's doing songs with like Boys to Men. She's got ODB on the track.
Yes, what they hated that as well. They were like, Tommy was like, what? She played ODB's verse for him, and he's like, what the fuck is that? He was like, I could do that.
No, you can't. No one can do what ODB did, okay?
No
Check out
way.
our Wu-Tang episode.
Yep.
But damn, we're a promotion machine right now. Yeah, check out Music Maniacs Wu-Tang episode if you want to hear us talk about ODB. So she's expanding, and then at some point she's like, all right, I got to get off of Sony. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to still deal with this shit.
Yeah.
So she gets off of Sony.
Yeah, she finishes her contract with them. She would... Listen, you got to crank out some albums before we can let you go, Songbird.
This is a business here. So she signs with Virgin Records.
Yes.
For $100 million.
I mean, Dr. Evil stepped in.
$100 million. And that's just, I mean, that's a lot of money now, obviously.
Yes.
But in whatever, 2099, whatever that was, that's a ridiculous amount of money.
It really is. It really is. What are you going to do with all that, Mimi?
But this is the thing. So obviously there's a lot of pressure associated with all this fame and all the success that she's getting.
Yeah.
And now you have a corporation throwing $100 million behind you. That's a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Because not only are you expected to make music, but you're expected to get that money back.
Yeah. And she was putting pressure on herself even before that, because she had number ones like 10, 11 years in a row. She was just getting awards, and she made herself into a workaholic because she didn't want to go back to where she was before, you know.
She wanted to go back to the island.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Where she's like literally tortured by people. And she decided that she was just going to work. She was going to get on a plane. She was going to go to Minneapolis with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. She was going to crank out 3 songs. She was going to hop on a plane and go right back. And these producers were like, they had never seen anything like it in their life. They were like, what is this? And they worked with Prince. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, basically from the time that she got signed until like the early 2000s, she just did not stop.
Yeah.
For a straight decade.
Yeah.
Like, you got to take a break at some point.
Yeah.
Or something is going to go down.
Yeah. And it's weird because like being young at that time, you didn't even feel kind of annoyed by it. Now it's kind of different with celebrity, where like if you come out with an album all the time, now it's like you have to do brand deals, and now you have to be on like social media, so it's like an onslaught of you.
Right.
But with her, it was just straight music and video, so it didn't feel like, you know, she was like super saturating the market, at least to me. I don't know, tell me in the comments if it felt like that to you.
Yeah, so she was just working like a crazy amount of output for so long. And then at some point, all the pressure kind of caught up to her.
Yes.
And she was working on that movie, right?
Yeah.
Glitter.
And that's a movie that she had written, and she wanted it to go forth. And yeah.
Did you see that movie?
I did not.
Yeah, me neither.
I knew right away that it was not going to be a good one.
Yeah, well, apparently the people kind of agreed with that.
Yeah.
Because it did not do very well.
It didn't. It really didn't.
So now Mariah is under a huge amount of stress, because also her albums weren't selling as well at this point.
Right. The pop and hip hop was like, you know, we loved it. Like, you know what I mean? Those of us who listen to hip hop and stuff, and we loved Mariah singing. She was always on R&B radio from Vision of Love. Like, so nobody did not know Mariah. But like the masses, you know, out middle America, you know, they weren't necessarily feeling that as much. So, but we're not saying, look, she charted, okay? She may have not been number 1. She was like number 5. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like she wasn't great. Hey guys, you enjoying the podcast so far? Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to Music Maniacs with Sight After Dark.
And if you really like it, make sure you check out patreon.com/musicmaniacs. We're doing bonus episodes for you guys. It's pay what you want. So if you want to support us, every dollar counts and helps us to do this more and to make more content for you. So check it out. Get a bonus episode every month. And let's get back to the show. Well, this is kind of the problem with, like, I think early success. Is like, if you come out with the gate number 1, there's only one way to go from there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
number 1.5.
Number 1A, number 1B. No, it's just like, if you come out, it's like, if you do even a little work, if you come out number 2, it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now,
brutal.
She's got a lot of things going on that are not great.
No.
Her albums aren't doing as well. The movie flopped. I really wish I had time to watch the movie before we did this, but I just didn't. But yeah, she was the lead in the movie as well.
Yes.
So it was really this whole movie was like her. It probably felt like a referendum on her as a person.
Yeah, I'm actually getting flashbacks. I have seen some parts of it. Yeah. Yeah, but not the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know? I remember a club scene, definitely. So yeah.
So apparently she had a little bit of like a breakdown.
Yeah, I watched that episode. Like I watched it live.
So on TRL?
Yes.
Yeah. So TRL, it's funny because Total Request Live, right?
Yes.
I know TRL was a big deal for a long time.
Yeah.
At their studios in, that was Times Square, right?
Yeah, that was Times Square.
So apparently she showed up unannounced.
Yeah.
And started handing out like ice cream to people.
Yeah, she came with a little Good Humor truck, and she had on this like a halter top and these really, really short shorts, and she had on like not mules, what are those, like high wedges. She had on like wedges, so it's just like to me, she was kind of always over the top. She was getting there and showy, especially since the Honey video. She was always doing a lot. So I didn't really see it as her breaking down, especially when people would be on MTV. They kind of always overdid it.
Like it kind of seemed par for the course.
Yeah, to me. But then after... Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, afterwards, I mean, she had a bit of a breakdown. Like we said, I mean, we're talking about over a decade of just nonstop work.
Yeah.
And that's enough pressure in itself. Then you get all the money involved. Then you get, the movies and the albums not doing as well. And she had a little bit of a mental snap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the label was fucking done with her.
Yeah. Yeah. They got rid of her. Well, they bought her out.
This is so crazy. Like, they bought her out for like $28 million or something like that.
They paid her to leave.
She literally made $50 million from Virgin Records in like a year. Mm-hmm. And for most people, it's like, oh, wow, that's great. You just made $50 million. But like, you got to think about it. They basically paid her to fuck off.
Yeah.
That's kind of embarrassing. Even though you're loaded, I mean, you're making a shit ton of money. That's fucking embarrassing. And that's happening on a worldwide stage.
Yeah.
And everybody knows about it.
Everybody's watching. And I mean, and they were like relentless. Like they were digging into her relationships. They were blaming her for Jeter's losing streak because she was dating Derek Jeter after a while. They blamed her for that. Like, I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah. So she took a little bit of a much needed break.
Yeah.
It was only like 4 months or something. It wasn't like a crazy amount of time, but she wanted to work.
Yeah,
but she clearly needed to, reset.
Rest. Yeah, definitely. And so she did. And then she came back swinging, singing. Which was it?
Singing for the fences. Singing home runs.
Yep.
Just like Jeter.
Yep.
Yeah, she comes back. Fuck. What was the name of the comeback album?
Butterfly?
Was that the one? There's a lot of albums. I kind of get them confused in my head.
Yeah, I know there's Emancipation of Mimi and there's Butterfly, and I get those two confused. But she brought a whole bunch of all-stars because she signed to Island. Mm-hmm. And that brought on, like, Diddy and JD.
Oh, you mean the shoe shiner?
The shoe shiner.
Just kidding. Shout out to Diddy.
Jermaine Dupri. Like, she just had an all-star team. She brought the Locks in, I mean, it was just crazy. So, yeah, she starts soaring there, too, like, and then making, like, undeniable hits again.
Yeah, and she just goes right back to the top. And it's crazy. I mean, she was, like, I didn't know this until, obviously, we were researching for this. She has the second most number one singles of anybody all time after... the number one is this some band from England, the Roaches, the
Scarabs. I can't remember.
Oh, the Beatles.
Yes.
That's who it was. My bad. But that's 4 people.
I was about to say it takes 4 guys to be one Mariah. Okay.
I'm just saying, like that's bad impressive.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like, and again, I can't believe that I didn't know this shit. Like, I'm mad at myself. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, where have I been?
Take it easy on yourself, Dan.
No. I refuse. I'm about to go on TRL and hand out ice cream. But yeah, so she comes back just straight up to the top. And kind of, I mean, I'm not going to say that she needed to redeem herself necessarily, but that's a redemption story if I've ever heard it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She just comes back, number one again, selling again. Biggest star, one of the biggest stars in the world, if not the biggest star in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just, it's just a great thing to see. To see somebody go through that and like collect themselves, and come back. Because you could easily go through some shit like that and just never come back.
It's true. It's true. Not just like talent wise, but also just like fame wise. Like you just can't handle the fame anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But she did. So I mean, then she starts getting into acting again. Mm-hmm. And is apparently way better this time?
Yeah, she does the movie Precious, where, you know, it's interesting. She became the exact opposite in the movie. She became the exact opposite of what Mariah Carey is, you know, which is kind of like a princess. People call her a diva, you know, and in this movie, she was like a downtrodden social worker.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't see the movie Precious. It seemed a little like too much for me, but I remember clips of different people's acting, and clips of her acting was believable. You know, I definitely feel like if you want to see the movie, it's a worthwhile watch, because I definitely feel like she did her thing in that one too. Yeah,
she really just was doing her thing. And at this point, so when was the thing with like her and Eminem?
That was around like 2005, 2007. That was right around the Emancipation of Mimi album. Didn't she come out with a "Why Are You So Obsessed with Me" song?
Why are you so obsessed with me?
Yeah. Eminem needed somebody to pick on. And even though I was a fan of Shady at one point, it's like, he's not going to pick on the other rappers. You know what I mean? He's not going to battle those guys. So they need to find somebody, you know. And Machine Gun Kelly hadn't come out yet.
Yeah, he had to wait a little bit. And then when did she marry Nick Cannon?
She married Nick Cannon recently because her kids. I mean, this is like 2013, maybe. No,
it was before that, because they met at like the Teen Choice Awards in like the mid 2000s.
Okay, so maybe that was probably like 2009 or something like that. Yeah.
Which
we're terrible.
I saw an interview with him because it's like, my whole life, if anybody asked me what my celebrity crush was, I always said Mariah Carey.
My sister told me he said that before I saw the interview, and I was just like, really? That's so interesting that he like manifested that.
He really did. And then apparently, so like at the Teen Choice Awards or whatever, they were like presenting an award together, and like he was just kind of like in like awe that he was like standing next to her, and she was just kind of like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
But then I don't know. I guess they met up again and they connected and they got married and they had 3 kids.
2 kids. They have twins. Rock and Roe. What are their names?
Rock and Roe.
It's Moroccan and I forgot the other one's name, but their nicknames are Rock and Roe. And she says that every time that she hears when they do ODB's lyrics when she's performing Fantasy, she was like, when he says, "I'm a little bit country, I'm a little bit rock and roll," she's like, it sounds like he's saying rock and roll. She's like, that's so cute.
ODB, the prophet.
The Nostradamus of rap.
Oh, man, that guy was so entertaining. Okay, yeah, where were we?
We're at the Teen Choice Awards. She married. She had some kids. I mean, we're going through her life pretty fast. And
yeah, we're really excited. We're kind of blowing through this.
Yeah, I feel like everything happened so fast to me because I feel like I always was hearing her on the radio. Mm-hmm. And when she made that statement about having like number ones for like a decade, I remember thinking like, really? Like it's been that long? It's been that long. Like that's just crazy.
Yeah. And to that point, like I said before, I mean, we were talking about this. Like I wasn't always a huge lamb, as they call the Mariah fans, as I only recently found out. But I was looking back at like her number one singles and I was listening to them and I was just like, oh, I know like all of these songs.
Yeah.
Like,
isn't that crazy?
I'm like, there's definitely songs that I was like, I didn't even realize this was Mariah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like the We Belong Together song, I know for sure that was like 2005. And I remember thinking like that's one of my most favorite songs, but I didn't even know until I did the research like how huge it was. Like obviously it was on the radio all the time. Obviously they did a video for it, but like I personally like really, really loved it. But that song soared as well. That became like internationally known, you know? And to me it sounded like a hood classic in a way because it had a little bit of like a hip hop flavor to it, even though nobody was rapping. It sounded like something that everybody in the neighborhood, like in the city, like on the East Coast would like really, really love. But no, it was like international.
The world loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really a credit to, again, not only her songwriting, but her production skills. And that's something that we talked about when we did reactions to her. It's just like the way that she's able to make the instruments and also her voice like work together is crazy.
Yeah.
Like the way that she layers her vocals, it's like everything fits in so well. And it's funny, I don't remember if I said this before, when you were saying her friend told her that her voice, it sounds like instruments like playing with her.
Yeah.
Her, like the whistle register, which I can't even attempt to imitate. Sometimes I'll be listening to a song and I'll hear that and I'm like, wait, is that a voice or is that a synth? Like I'm like, this is a crazy note to hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, Mariah might be the only superstar that has fans of multiple species.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the Dolphins fucking love her.
They absolutely love her.
That's one of the craziest videos I've ever seen, like low key.
Yeah.
Y'all should check this out. I don't know how copyright works. I would love to just put it on the screen right now, but I don't think we can do that.
Yeah.
But there's literally a video of her just like in the water, like playing with some dolphins.
Yep.
And she does like her high note, and the dolphins straight up fangirl on her.
They definitely do. They wanted an autograph. Like
They're like, oh my god. They're like, she speaks our language. You know what I mean? I've
So
never
cute.
seen that. I've never seen some shit like that before. It blew my mind. And if y'all know us or you follow us at all, I fucking love dolphins. I've had a lot of dolphins encounters. I'm from a beach town in Florida. And dolphins are the best. And I literally, like, the look on those dolphins' faces.
Yeah, the mouth open. Like, did you hear this? Did you hear this?
Like, they literally look like, you know, the videos of, like, you'll see, like the teenagers when, like, the Beatles are playing.
Yeah.
They're like, that's what the dolphins look like.
They definitely did.
And I read somebody had a comment on that video, which I thought was crazy. It's like the way that dolphins' ears are, most like human voices are too low for them to hear.
Yeah.
So they were like, that might have been the first time those dolphins ever heard a human.
I doubt that, but that's
I'm like,
hilarious.
I don't fucking know, but that sounds cool.
It's definitely
You know?
time. That's the time that they heard a cool human. The rest of us are just all right.
Yeah.
But she speaks their language.
They were like, sing me another song.
Dolphin Queen.
Yeah, so they do end up getting divorced, her and Nick.
Yeah.
But she still puts out great music.
Of course.
I mean, she's clearly just one of the most talented people to ever do it.
And it's an amicable divorce. I mean, Nick obviously has things to do.
He's like, I got more kids to make.
Exactly.
I need at least 6 more. And then didn't he like challenge Eminem to a rap battle at some point?
He did, and it's like, Nick,
That's just a mistake.
just come on. You know, maybe challenge him to an acting battle.
Yeah.
And
I
even
mean,
then, it might be, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we could do an Eminem episode at some point, but no one wants to see him in a versus.
No, I mean, Eminem, you put Eminem against Jay-Z, and it's still, like, you know, arguably, who won, who lost. I know who won, but...
You tell us at home. You tell us who won between Nick and Eminem. But yeah, okay. So then, what else? It's hard for me to even keep track of how many albums she's put out and how many albums she's put out that have gone #1.
Yeah, and I don't want to say I stopped listening, but you know, when radio kind of started dying down, and when I wasn't playing the radio anymore, that's kind of when I lost track of all of the hits that she put out. Some of them I'll hear from time to time, but right around Butterfly, Emancipation of Mimi, that was my personal, like, Mariah Carey catalog, from Vision of Love to, like, Butterfly, Emancipation. Like, all those albums are undeniably great albums to me. And well, before she even put out those Emancipation albums, we have to mention The Holidays, because she is also known as the Queen of Christmas. As if being a songbird wasn't enough.
You know what I just realized? I think that might have been another reason why I thought she was corny when I was younger.
Probably.
I didn't even really piece that together until right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I'm fucking super into Christmas songs. But like, but then you would always hear her around Christmas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh fuck, is it this time of year again already? I'm hearing Mariah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I personally am not sick of that song. I just have to say. But I also am personally not sick of Stairway to Heaven as well. So I'm a little bit of an anomaly here.
But that's one of those things, again, like we were saying before, like, it doesn't matter what kind of like machine you have around the artist. Like, if you're not good and the songs aren't great, they're not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of artists learning that right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the fact that the Christmas album, that was like 94, 95, like that was when she was still up with Sony, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the fact that she put that out so long ago, and that has become part of the Christmas lore. with all the holly jolly Christmas, all of that
with everybody, with Bing Crosby, with Nat King Cole, with Elvis. Like, she's there with them.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen by accident.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to be killing it to make it to that level.
Yeah.
And it's like, now, as long as, you know, Christmas is and commercialism is involved with Christmas, that song is never going to go away.
No, not at all. You know what I mean? Not at all. Yeah. Like, I love her whole writing process. Because you could see, like, the time change. Like, when she was younger and she was writing songs, she would do a tape recorder by her bed, or she would call herself on the answering machine and leave a message of her singing. And she's like, now you have notes on your phone. You have all these things that you can just record yourself. I thought that was great. And then also she would wake up from, like, dreams, and the song will be, like, in her head.
Right.
Or she'll be, like, walking down the street, and, like, the song will go, and she wouldn't even, like, technically have time to get into the song because she would hear so many different versions of the song. And that's when she really started incorporating other artists, like musicians and stuff. Like, if she brought in a great pianist, they can play what she was hearing, so she could, like, take that out of her focus, you know what I mean? They could, like, run a mile with that, and then that could, like, enlighten her and make her want to pull out the actual words more, as opposed to, okay, well, like, what does the piano sound like? What does the bass sound like? What is it like, you know? So that's a really cool evolution for her.
Yeah, and that's something interesting too. I'm glad you brought that up, because I was watching an interview. So first of all, she's in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Yeah. So shout out to her and the Songwriters Hall of Fame for rightfully putting her in. Right. And she was saying, the interviewer, I don't remember what interview this was, but they were like, why do you think that people don't think of you as a songwriter when clearly you're a great songwriter? I mean, you're the fucking Songwriter Hall of Fame. She's like, I feel like it's just because people don't really, like, see me at a piano or with a guitar. Yeah. But it's like, when I was a little kid, like, I was always able to write poetry, and I was always able to write melodies. And I was just like, oh, well, if I just combine them, that's a song. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I always thought that was interesting. And she was like, yeah, like, I can write a song on a piano, but, like, there's people that... If you're actually a piano player, you're going to know that I don't really play piano. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And when you see songwriters as big as she is, you just figure that there's a machine writing the songs for you, because that even happens to this day. And it happened with her colleague, the great Whitney Houston. You know, Whitney was just as great of a singer, but Whitney wasn't writing, like, all of her songs. She wasn't, like, super involved with the production. That was Clive, you know. So
Shout out to the Dawn.
You know, and all of our great singers, like, you know, you see, like, a Barbra Streisand, like Judy Garland, like, you know what I mean? These people took these songs and made them theirs, definitely, but they weren't necessarily writing the song. So that's what happened with her. They were like, you write music?
See, that's exactly what it was. Literally my whole life, that's what I thought that Mariah was. Okay. I didn't realize that she was writing this shit. And immediately when I heard that, I was just like, oh. Now I get it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's one of those things, like, I've always thought about this. Like, I feel like if you have people writing the song for you, and this, I don't know if this is going to sound weird, but, like, if you have people writing the song for you, I feel like you're a performer. I don't know if you're really an artist necessarily, because you're not creating it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you could be a great performer for sure, but I feel like to be like an artist, like, it has to be from you. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because what happens when, like, your hit maker, you know, separates from you, you know, and then the quote unquote talent has to show now, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing that that makes me, like, agree with you as well. Like, yeah, you're not necessarily an artiste, but you're there. You could come along.
Yeah. So that's it's just like, I can't believe how wrong I was about what she is. Yeah. Like, the fact that she writes all the songs, that she produces all the songs, and she could sing like that. I'm just like, how could you, what else would you want her to do? Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, what, she has to play she has to be Stevie Wonder and write and play every instrument also?
Exactly.
Like, what does she need to get all the credit? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, that's crazy you mentioned Stevie Wonder, because that is her most favorite artist of all time, you know, and rightfully so. Stevie is, like, an absolute genius, and she was just like, she feels like he sings from, like, a holy place. Like, you know, she doesn't even know where he gets his inspiration.
He's the inspiration. Check out our Stevie Wonder episode too. Uh-huh. But yeah, it's just amazing, like all the talent that exists within one person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure. For sure.
And again, like it's just kind of unfortunate the way that some people see her as like just a diva of just like some person that doesn't have all the talent that she has.
Yeah.
Because also another thing about that is like I feel like her being who she is, like I don't think she feels that she has to prove that to anyone.
Yeah.
Because she knows that she's that good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What really like made me like get into her as like, you know, besides just being like this songbird, is like, one, you know, she's from here, she's from New York, and I didn't even kind of really believe that. I was like, Mariah Carey's from New York, like it, you know, this image of her is so different, and I'm talking like before she even really got into like the whole hip hop thing. But when you hear her speak, when you hear her wit, when you hear her humor, then you find the person. You know what I mean? And for the most part, like I'm not saying she doesn't love Chanel and she doesn't love like fine things and stuff, but for the most part, she's just playing with you, you know, like when she's like darling and all those, you know what I mean? She's just joking, you know, but at the same time, don't give her any less than 350 count sheets, like, you know.
Oh, come on,
don't mess around with her.
Talk about the queen here. Yeah, that's another thing. I heard like I don't remember what producer it was, but I remember they were working with her and they were expecting her to be a certain way.
Yeah,
like even people that are in the industry working with her, they expected her to be a certain way. They were like, oh, she's probably going to fly in on a private jet, which she did.
Yes.
And she's probably going to show up with an entourage of like 20 people, which she did.
Yeah.
But then they said as soon as they got in the studio and it was just them and her, she was so like down to earth and just like about the music. Like she wasn't anything like how they thought that she was going to be in real life.
Right.
And it's such an interesting, and like I feel like that's just a fame thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so hard to actually, you know, these people that are so hugely successful like her, it's so hard to actually know what they're really like.
Yeah.
Especially from, you know, back in previous eras when you didn't have the internet and you couldn't just see all these interviews with them all the time. Like all you really had was the music and what people were saying about her.
Yeah, and I think that's the image that, you know, Tommy kind of created versus like who she really was and why she felt the need to kind of break away from that, because that has to be like upsetting to you, your person, you know what I mean, when people don't really know like what you're like and who you are, and they're just calling you one thing and you're not.
Right. Yeah. But I'm glad that so many people do realize who she is. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I just feel, it's so funny. Like I said, like I just could not believe the amount of love that she got on the videos that we did reacting to her, because we've done so many people, and you know, a lot of artists get a lot of love, but the sheer amount of love, I feel like I could feel it coming out of the screen of the comments.
Yeah, I honestly was thinking like people kind of forgot about her. You know, that's the feeling that I got. I didn't think we were gonna get like that many views. Because I felt like, you know, there's so many other pop stars now, and this generation kind of tends to forget about the greats, you know, that came before, kind of wants to bury them right away. So that's why I felt like that wasn't going to happen. But I do know her fans are diehard fans. I didn't think that they would all come to our channel and watch and comment and be so happy that we're like even talking about her.
Yeah. And I feel like maybe that is like one of those things, like what we were saying, like there is this kind of perception about her, and then to see people like understand that the perception is not the reality. If you're like a big fan of hers, it must make you really happy. Yeah. Because, you know, like you feel like kind of like emotionally invested in her, and you kind of know who she is, that it must make you excited to see other people realize that. Like, I hope that people enjoy, if anyone was watching or listening to this, I hope that y'all enjoyed it, because again, like, I'm just so excited to know what Mariah actually is versus like literally like 5 months ago, I completely thought she was something different.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know? So I just want to thank like everyone that's watching, or anyone that brought that up to us in the reactions, because I never would have realized how wrong I was. Ever. I would have went my whole life be like, Mariah, she's just blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, no. Yeah. She really has it.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get a voice like that for a while. You know, I think Ariana Grande is great. That's kind of like the next Mariah Carey, they were kind of saying. But it's totally different. Like, I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like if you could bring them both in the same time frame, I feel like Mariah would eclipse Ariana. Like, you know?
I mean, like I said this before, there's only two singers that I've listened to that, because, you know, there's a lot of talented singers, and I get some people are just born with more natural talent than others. Like, this is the way of the world. But there's some singers I'm like, you're super talented, but I understand that you just have this talent. But there's only two singers that I've really heard consistently that I'm like, I don't understand how this is possible. And it's Mariah and it's Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
That I'm just like, how is this even a thing?
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy.
You got to have a little racial injustice, you know, to be a great singer, it seems. You got to have that problem.
That's the key, I guess.
Yeah, you know, Freddie had an issue being from Zanzibar and in more like a white community, you know, trying to have to prove himself, leading a new band where there was somebody else as the front man for that band, and all of a sudden they brought this guy in, and like if you've seen the movie, like they're like, "Where's Tim? Who's this Packy?"
Like literally, like. I hope that Mariah donates her body to fucking science, because I do understand how it's possible to make some of the tones that she like. I'm like, what is going on in her vocal cords? Yeah,
I mean, I feel like a lot of those sounds, those great sounds, are born out of a lot of pain. Like if you listen to her like young story, it's just like absolutely gut wrenching. She had some friends in junior high who pretended to be her friends. They finally let her hang out with them, and they all go to the main friend's like grandmother's pretty much mansion, just a big house out on the island, and they are like, come on, let's go into this room. They all take her in a room and they all start yelling at her, "You're a nigger." Like, and they keep saying it over and so like she drove out with them for a sleepover, so she had to be with them.
She couldn't leave.
She couldn't leave. So they were just, and she burst out crying. She was like thinking that some adult would hear somebody crying and be like, you know, stop this. Or nobody came to stop it. No, she's like, she doesn't even remember how she left there. She doesn't remember the drive home. She just remembers that moment. Like things like that are crazy. Or getting a lead singing role in one of your school plays, and your dad walks up there to give you flowers and everybody's silent. Like, who the fuck is this guy? You know, like experiencing that. Or bringing your friend home to school and having your dad surprise you. You didn't know your dad was going to be there at your house. Your mom was there and your dad comes to surprise you. And he's like, "Hi, sweetheart." And your friend starts crying because she's scared of your dad. Like things like that. Like, I mean, a lot of those sweet sounds they have to be born out of like pain, you know? Yeah. It's like crazy.
Definitely that. I'm curious, like physically, like how does a voice even physically able to do that?
Yeah.
Like the dolphin noise. I'm like, how is this physiologically possible?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I all I know is like all the greats have a really serious story growing up. Like I just constantly see that. Like you have some great performers and stuff who have like reached like the top and everything like that, but actual like vocal technique, creativity, you know, being able to stand on your own and like be in certain, and we've reacted to some of these people, like a Stevie Wonder who's blind, like, you know what I mean, Johnny Cash who,
allegedly. Sorry.
Johnny Cash, who came from like a very like alcoholic father's background, you know, watched his brother die basically and stuff, and he's in like 3 different halls of fame. Like, you know, I'm talking about those kind of greats. I definitely feel like there's a lot of negativity that has to impact you somehow, that you know, like, what do they say? The sharpest sword goes through the hottest fire. Like, you know, things like that. Like, I feel like that has something to do with it. It does, because her mom's an opera singer. Her mom can hit those notes, but can she hit them like Mariah?
Right.
You know?
Billie Holiday.
Yeah, Billie Holiday is another great example. Like, it's very interesting. I don't know somebody who, like, I consider, like, amazing. Even, like, a Michael Jackson. Like, you know what I mean? His father beat the crap out of him. He's performing in strip joints at 5 years old. Like, I don't know anybody that I love musically like that who hasn't gone through some type of torture, you know, to be like that kind of vocalist and creative person. You know, you'll have people that have their spurts. Like, let's say, like, we'll pick a Jimmy Page who doesn't sing and stuff like that, but he did music for a certain amount of time. Like, he wasn't able to like go through like to now, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? Like, his greatest moment was in the span of just maybe like 15 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he's somebody who I think is like phenomenal, but like there's a certain sound, there's a certain creativity, there's a certain longevity that just for some reason has to do with absolute pain.
Right. And that goes on to the whole, you know, the whole tortured artist thing. And that's always something people talk about. They're like, can you be a good artist without pain? Without, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like, where does that art come from?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, even, I mean, there's so many you could think of, like Kurt Cobain, like, right?
Yeah.
He had pain in his stomach, like, you know, Prodigy, who's one of the greatest rappers of all time, like, had sickle cell and was constantly in pain. Like, you know, like, there's just so many that you can mention, and it's like, I don't know. I'm gonna go make a lot of pain for myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go throw myself off the roof and survive and start singing.
Oh, you're gonna pull a Ketis.
Yeah. It's the only way to be great.
Yeah. Well, I guess the positive is that a lot of those people are able to take that pain and make something beautiful out of it.
Yeah.
And that's definitely what Mariah was able to do.
Yeah.
And then here we are talking about her, you know, we never met her, you know, spoiler alert. But here we are, we fucking love her.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody in the world knows Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
I mean, she has cemented herself as one of the greats, period.
Yeah.
Even if you were like, you know, my dumbass self 5 months ago that doesn't realize how great she is, you know who she is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you probably know a couple songs from her without even, maybe you don't even know.
Yeah, very true. She said that how when she was growing up, she didn't even know anybody else with her name. And when she was older, she met like one black girl with the same name, Mariah.
Mm-hmm.
I think she was like over her 20s, probably 30. And now she's like, to turn around and see like people are like naming their kids Mariah. Like,
right. Yeah. That's great. I didn't even think about that. And then also like, you know, maybe her putting that into her pain into the art is able to help other people that are going through similar things.
Yeah, she's had tons of fans say like, this song saved my life, this song made, and I mean, I can attest to that. Like, We Belong Together, like that song was like so like therapeutic for me, you know, for at that time. And then also my most favorite song from her is Make It Happen. It has kind of like a late 80s, early 90s kind of house-ish R&B pop sound to it.
Yeah.
And even then, when I was hearing it as a kid, that song was influential and it made me aspire to be like greater. Like the words, you know, not many years ago, I was abandoned and alone without a penny to my name. I was so very young and so afraid. And she's like, she held onto her faith, she struggled, she prayed, and she's like, and it's like, you're gonna make it happen. It's just like hearing those words, it's like, it's very, very, very like invigorating, and it helps you go forward.
Right. And that is coming from her, because it's like, if somebody just on the street corner saying that, it's like, well, what I don't know, like, really? But it's like, you've seen that she came from that,
yeah,
and that she was able to get to where she is. It's like, you know, it's like, that really is possible.
Yeah.
Like, that is really a thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's not just words on a song. Like, that's life.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. So crazy. Well, yeah, shout out to Mariah.
So tell us in the comments why you love Mariah. Tell us about your favorite songs.
Yeah.
Your favorite albums. Perhaps any memories that you have associated with Mariah's songs. Tell us if you met her ever. That would be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
Tell us if you got some of that ice cream from her at TRL.
I know.
If you happen to be on the sidewalk that day.
She was always kind of over the top to me. Like, I remember the MTV Cribs episode when it premieres, and she's like on her Stairmaster in heels.
No fucking way.
Yeah, she was. And I remember my stepbrother saying like, she doesn't use that thing. Like,
I mean, not with heels. Oh, the cameras are on. I gotta. She was at the Stairmaster with you. I gotta look that up.
She's so over the top. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, around that period, like, everybody was kind of over the top. Like, I never felt like she was going through so much. Like, she gets in the bathtub. She's like, I gotta go take a bath now. Bye.
Well, I mean, not to just talk about Cribs, but that whole fucking the whole idea of the show was completely over the top.
Yeah, definitely.
And even half of those houses weren't even theirs.
No, not at all.
Like,
totally rented.
But hers is probably actually hers.
Yeah, I think so.
But I don't know. If you worked on MTV's Cribs, you let us know.
There was a clip when she's like, Jermaine Dupri's like talking about her, and they're showing him the episode of Cribs. He was like, I don't even go in that room because I'm scared I'm gonna break something or whatever. And she shows a picture of herself with a black guy and with a white guy, and JD's like, there's a picture of me right now. He's like, oh wait, that's Stevie Wonder. Never mind.
Oh, I definitely got to go look up Mariah's Cribs episode.
Oh, yeah.
After this.
Oh, yeah.
That's hilarious. But yeah, so, I mean, do you have anything else? Do we get everything about, like, her story? Did we miss anything?
I mean, the awards. So she even got an acting award for that Precious movie. I know that. No, I mean, she's what is it, like 5 Grammys? I don't know if she's got more than that.
She should have more.
Yeah,
but
like 15.
But who gives a fuck about a
AMAs.
Grammy?
That's true. But if you're gonna give a Grammy to anybody, give it to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kids, the husband. I mean, she's doing well now. She's doing master classes with like other artists and stuff. She did one with Brandy the other day. I saw a comment in one of our comments that told us to check it out, but I had seen it before. And she and Brandy are just like singing, and she asked Brandy to sing something a certain way, and Brandy didn't sing it like exactly, and she's like, like goes like this, like
yeah. It's just amazing how talented she was and how she was able to go from that low point and just come right back.
Yeah.
And then now she just like seems like a relatively well-adjusted person and mother. Like, you know what I mean? She doesn't seem like she's having a fucking breakdown.
No, not at all. She's having a good time. I love her. She had a concept of time, and she was like, we don't talk numbers and ages like in my crew. She won't say how old she is and stuff. And she just feels like she doesn't want to be like laden down with time. Like, you know, if you can do so much in a frame of existence, then who cares if it's like, oh, she did this at this age, that age, and she's or she may be too old for this or that. Like, I think that's just what she's just saying. As she gets older, she doesn't want anybody to like count her in dog years and be like, you know, it's time to put her down or anything like that. So I love that too.
Time is just an endless stream.
Yeah.
And humans just decide to separate it into little categories, you know? So are we gonna end with that? Yeah, so don't worry about time, people. It's not real.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this was Music Maniacs with Mariah Carey, Inside After Dark.
Yeah.
And thanks for being here. Definitely tell your friends about it if you enjoyed it. Check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/musicmaniacs. We're doing bonus episodes.
Yep.
And it's kind of a donation thing, so whatever, if you can pay anything, every dollar helps us to keep doing this. Hopefully we can make more episodes and do this, you know, full time. So check it out. We appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
I'd give anything to not hear you whine and cry